Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Daksh God. I am the founder of Love World magazine, which works on inspiring teenagers through teenagers. We keep searching for teens who are doing great in life and share their struggles and successes in life with others so that they can do inspiring work. Till now, we have covered and showcased nearly 300 teenagers from nearly 30 countries across the globe, and we keep doing that on a regular basis. And from time to time, we try to create industry white papers focused on the K-12 education sector, which is schools. These white papers are basically idea repositories and observation repositories on what all innovative or new is going on in schools. We all right now are in a very unique kind of a situation, which is the lockdown. We're all inside our homes. And at this point, there are a lot of challenges that the education sector is facing. It's as far as the Moody's ratings tell us, EdTech is going to be the next biggest sector in the coming times for business. But as far as the idea or the concept of a school is concerned, it'll drastically change post this lockdown. So what we are basically trying to do is we are trying to gather thoughts and ideas on what all innovations are schools right now doing and look forward to doing after this lockdown comes to an end. This today is the 29th session of the Love World Web Talks. Before these in the last 28 sessions, more than 300 school leaders have participated from 60 different geographies from across the world and have shared their ideas and thoughts and innovations that they are doing within their institutions to keep learning going on. Just to give you a small reference on the kind of ideas that we've got till now, there's a very small village called Padua in West Bengal. They don't have good internet. So how did they continue learning? They gave a very innovative assignment to their kids. They told them to create a custom dictionary at home in which they have to add 5 new words every day and bring that dictionary once the school reopens. The Indian Embassy School in UAE, they're doing something very interesting. They've started an activity called Cartoons Speak, where every family receives some kind of a magazine or a publication at home, which has a cartoon strip within that. So they've asked their students to cut that cartoon strip, paste it on a white paper, and write the interpretation of that cartoon that the kid understands. There's one school in Sundarbans in Odisha. They're doing something called as a introspective diary, where they've told kids to write down the good and the bad that they do in the whole day. This will enhance their wisdom, and it would be a good way to understand their value education status. So a lot of innovative things are happening. One school in Agra has asked its students to do a daily news report on their surroundings, that what all is happening around you, tell us that every day. One school, again in Agra, has asked its pre-toddlers to do a video call every day and sing a new song to their teacher. Because it's the most difficult to engage toddlers and pre-toddlers during these times, because online teaching or a Zoom call doesn't work very well with them. So what we are also looking from all of you today is what all small, little, big innovation you are doing. And the best ideas we are going to take to a white paper that we'll publish on the 15th of this month. And one preliminary paper has already been published last month. And every single day we are updating some of the best ideas on our social media that you can go and look at. You can find Love World on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, anywhere. And you'll find those ideas that you can use within your school. Every single day we try to invite one special guest or a special speaker to initiate the session and conclude the session. And they can be, for instance, on one of the days, it was the education investment director for Anand Rathi, who's taking care of investments in the education sector for them. And every day we have it from different verticals and verticals of life. Today we have somebody from the education sector who has handled multiple responsibilities, and you all have already received his profile. So I would not explain the whole profile. Before I give it to, and we listen to Raymond, just a small food for thought. Every section of the society is supposed to contribute to society in its own way. Farmers are taking care of our food, doctors are taking care of our health, police is taking care of the lockdown. As far as educationists are concerned, our first responsibility is to deliver knowledge. But when something like a lockdown happens or a very unique scenario appears in life, I think one more responsibility gets added, is to create the knowledge that the world would need in the coming future. And that is the reason why today we look towards you to find new ideas and innovations that will create the next knowledge bank that the world needs. Let's now hear it from Mr. Raymond Fernandez. Sir, please initiate the talk. And since you're the special speaker, you have the first 3.5 minutes to you. You can unmute yourself. You'll have to unmute yourself first.
Yes. Thank you so much, and for having me. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this special talk. I think it's a privilege for all of us to be here and share new innovations and ideas. So to set the tone, I would like to just share a few of my thoughts, and then maybe we can take this forward. Education for me, in a true sense, has never been designed to be confined to brick and mortar space alone. And by the nature of its architecture, we've realized that education should have been free-flowing and omnipresent for our learners. Unfortunately, a misnomer in education is that it must conform. And because of its conformity, it has restricted itself in its sense of purpose. Now, you may ask, what is this purpose for education? To me, education is making good human beings. And therefore, it is very important that we understand the biggest and the most important E in education, that is empathy, which unfortunately is lost in transactions of our day-to-day education processes. In this recent turn of events, as remorseful as they are, it has taught us two very important lessons. One is never to doubt the human resolve. And two is that education is transcending boundaries, more definitely those that are physical. For human resolve, we have examples of all our teachers everywhere. They have stepped up to the plate. They are meeting the challenge of the current situation, and they're definitely moving out of their comfort zone. My heartfelt gratitude to every single teacher everywhere for bringing in good quality education to our homes. When it comes to transcendency in education, we've realized that educators are slowly warming up to the idea that knowledge can now be transmitted long distance, something that was not accepted some time ago. Having said all this, I think our challenge becomes tremendous in terms of designing this educational pedagogy for our students moving forward. So if I may share a few of my education, as I believe, hinges very precariously on 4 pillars, which I call the 4 C's. Of course, they are not the C's that we know of, but these are the 4 C's that I put together. One is content, that is conscious communication. As educators, we are disproportionately drawing our attention only to content. In this new world, when we need to move and design lessons, I think my recommendation is that we look at the C's and give it its due attention. We have overwhelmingly jumped onto this technology bandwagon. It's a need of the hour, and I really understand this. But technology comes with a caveat. This romance with technology is soon going to wane off. Boredom will set in faster than you can imagine. It is imperative that we are mindful of reinventing ourselves constantly, and there's the demand of technology everywhere. Our lives have been disrupted, make no qualms about it. How we roll with this new normal today will define and determine the course of education in the days to come. If I can set the tone to say, my dear friends, we are at the vanguard of a colossal educational transformation. It is both a privilege and a responsibility. And I'm confident that as educators, we will grab this opportunity with both hands. If I have excited a little bit of thought and some ideas to get this discussion going, I would now like to yield the floor to Daksh to take it forward. Welcome, please share great ideas. We are all in this together and in learning. Thanks, Daksh.
Thank you so much, Raymond sir, for giving us a very amazing start. And I think you have excited the right nerves now. Let's now hear it from Principal HPS, ma'am. Over to you for the next 2 minutes. You can unmute your audio, and during your talk, try to share with us your introduction, one personal learning, and one innovation or idea that you think that other schools can learn from you. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. So hello, everybody. This is Seher Sayyed, Principal HPS, and hello, Dash. This is my first, appearance to the Blab magazine. Actually, we at HPS are into a lot of teaching and learning process that's going on. As far as content is concerned, what Mr. I I forget your name, sir. So, sorry, but
Raymond, sir.
yeah, Mr. Raymond. So Raymond sir very aptly said that it's teaching and learning is not a process where you're confined to the four walls of the school. But yes, my teachers, hats off to all of them, they are working ahead with the content part, where we are focusing on 10th and 12th. So through various modes, where it's Zoom app, where it's a Google platform, where it's Microsoft. So we are using all these techniques to pass on the content to the children. In fact, where innovations are concerned, we are also collaborating with the parents, like we are having teacher guardian visits where we used to have them. So now each teacher contributes or talks to the parents to ensure that the parent and the child is at ease, because the stress level is high. So ensuring that whatever the creative aspects of the child is, we are going ahead with that also. We are asking, my creative team is also in touch with the children, and they are creating music, they are creating a lot of artwork. My art teacher specifically, he sends a lot of videos, shares a lot of videos how things can be worked out, whether it's SUPW. And then children also posting those pictures of making those drawings, you could say, competing or competition through reading, writing, arithmetic. All these things are happening. Teachers also creating their PPTs, their own PPTs, creative PPTs, and they're sharing it with the students. And when network is a problem, we are sharing it through WhatsApp, because these days WhatsApp is there everywhere. So it's reachable to each and every child. And then we're also taking attendance of the child as per the CBSE guidelines. So we know that the school is reaching out to the children, the parents are satisfied. You won't imagine, there where things are haywire and where fees are concerned. So today also, just few minutes back, I got a call from a parent asking me, ma'am, how do we pay the fees? So that's heartening to see that the parents are also as conscious as the children are, as teachers are. And so we are considering this basically as a teaching day rather than a non-teaching or a holiday. So I think my teachers are contributing a lot. Where creative aspects are concerned, project works, we are more focusing on the project work also. Teachers are giving guidelines so that the children don't miss out on the project work or the internal assessment. So it's not only that we are not there in the school, it's just that. Otherwise, we are more associated with the children, with the stakeholders. We are having management meetings also on these Zoom meetings we are conducting. So as far as working is concerned, we are almost working. There's no stop to the learning aspect.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing those thoughts. We are all right now using technology very extensively. Zoom calls are going on everywhere. We would request you to try to share at least one, even a small little innovation or that idea that you're doing within your school. So now let's hear it from Neeti ma'am. Neeti ma'am, over to you for the next 2 minutes. Your introduction, one personal learning, and one idea or innovation that others can learn.
Okay, namaste to everyone. I am Neeti Dhami, principal, the Sri Ram Universal School, Hisar. It's the same legacy of the Sri Ram schools, what you have in Delhi, and the Sri Ram College of Delhi and Commerce. So I started my career from Lawrence School, Lovedale. It is again 120 years old school, and totally it was a residential school. I think I am taking a lot learning from that area, because in a residential schools, what happens? You are always with the children. And then I've shifted to the day school. So it was a little difficult task for me to shift from residential to a day school. But yes, again, I think I'm coming back to the residential again. That is what I feel now. So when I say about one learning, though we have a lot of learning, so my one question is the way we can answer. They really need to teach children. It's a question mark to us. I don't think so. This is my personal belief. I think children itself, they are smart. To my time, for our time, I can say, they're far ahead. So we have to be just as a mentor. Even I keep telling to my teachers, let's stop teaching. I think they are learning, and the nature is teaching us everyone a big lesson. I can say everybody is learning something new. So learning is happening now, not only for children, for us also, we have shifted from something else to something else. And we are a quick learner, I can say, because when we talk about the technology, the children go in the classroom with a lot of facility and everything. Now they're operating from home. But let's come back, because you have given me 2 minutes. What is the basic learning what my children have done in this time, or I can say a 1 month time? I think they have learned now to grow their own food. That's the important thing to learn. What I understand. Grow their own food, how we are doing it. I think everybody at home, they have a small pot. If they do not have, they can do it. Everybody has a small, something or the other, plastic or dabba, anything. So we are teaching them how to grow their own food, because personally what we believe, if the child is connected to the environment, child is they know how to cook their own food and how it is growing. That's the best learning for them. Academic, anyway, it will keep on going on. ABCD, even we know till now, till date. So I think grow your own food is the best thing what we are doing right now with the children. Thank you so much. I could see.
Thank you so much. Let's now hear it from Candy, ma'am. Ma'am, over to you for the next 2 minutes. You can unmute yourself.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes. I'm Candy Dubey, ex-principal of Kothari International Dream School, Jalna, Maharashtra. I started my career with the GEM School Working Group in Fujairah, that is UAE. And from then onwards, I really go with Neeti ma'am. What she said was the learning process is just moving ahead. And as facilitators, we have to be as facilitators for our students. We just facilitate. The way, we just show them the way, and that's how they will move ahead. Whereas my school, which is the Kothari International Dream School, is basically in a rural area, where more of the villagers, like the farmers' students, are there. And taking technology there, yes, because those farmers out there are not educated. But our students, we make them more aware of technology. And all from 16th March onwards, we started with the content where our worksheets were sent out to the students. As the other ma'am had said, we use WhatsApp. More than anything else, we use WhatsApp, where the students had taken, we used to send our worksheets, and then it used to be coming back to us for checking. That's what we did with them, because Zoom classes and all, still the parents had to learn that more than to, to connect with the students. As for, we go with the MI, that is a multiple intelligence. So these holidays, I would say holidays, but surely we are working. The multiple intelligence concepts were put there, where the students who were good in music, were told to make videos, debate, where mathematical, they were taking classes there, showing the small concepts to grade 1, grade 2. This is what we did with the higher students. So taking this forward, we are still going on with it. Now let's see how feasible it is. As for our students, they are taking the initiative in drawing and all. So that's what we put all the concepts together, because we, as major cities, we could not go with the Zoom thing. But yes, WhatsApp was a major thing for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Let's now hear it from Sai Prasadji. Sai sir, over to you for the next 2 minutes. You can unmute your audio.
Thank you, Daksh. I think I need to look at the bull to raise both the horns. That's Mr. Divya Purohit. Before that, I would like to conclude. But I would like to differ a little bit from you, Daksh, that you said main aim of the education is to deliver knowledge. And I would like to take that hint from Mr. Raymond, who has set the right tone for me to speak, that he mentioned about empathy being an important part of education. And unfortunately, right now, with this kind of situation, we are not having a personal interaction with the students, and we are only focusing on the content and the knowledge. So I'm associated with different organizations and everywhere. Okay, first of all, I forgot my introduction. I'm vice principal of Mount Litra Z School in Ara, in Bhojpur district, Bihar. My name is Sai Prasad, and we have been facing the similar challenges which everyone is facing. Hats off to all the educators here. And unfortunately, we have been focusing a lot on curriculum, especially with respect to the tech and web tools which we are using, like Zoom and other things. But what I feel is, when I was having a lot of introspection, I mean, I basically believe that learning happens from introspection. Introspection is a key to learning. So when I see a lot of things happening around and I observe, my first learning is that people are pushing their boundaries. There were teachers who would shy away from computers and mobiles, and now are using it extensively to benefit the students and themselves in different ways. And I'm surprised that the teachers are coming up with a lot of ideas how to use mobiles and how to use technology in ways which we had not thought of. Everyone is coming up with different ideas. Some are teaching with whiteboards, and because we cannot afford to have whiteboards at every home, teaching maths was becoming difficult. So some teacher used backside of the calendar, which was an innovative idea, and I think it was a very well done thing, and we appreciated that. So it was a big learning that people are pushing their boundaries. That's a big thing. So introspection is a key to learning. That's one thing which I believe. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when we are talking about education, we need to talk about the three things which we have always learned about. That is knowledge, skills, and attitude. And since we are focusing a lot on knowledge, it's important that we focus on skills and attitude also. I'm especially looking at attitude. Someone can look at skills also. All three are important. So when I'm looking at attitude, I have always done, it's not particular to lockdown, but I have always asked students to maintain a daily diary. Sometimes it becomes difficult for them to write down and they become lazy. So I ask them to do only one thing: draw a column on this side right, and this side wrongs. So you have to daily list down the activities which you have done right and wrong. Many times when you do a particular thing, you're helping your parents using mobile, watching TV, using mobile for education, studies, all these things. When you list down, after 7 days, when they start to look back, it helps them a lot, and it leads to a lot of learning and will help us in a long way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now let's hear it from Astha ma'am. Ma'am, over to you for the next 2 minutes. You can unmute your audio.
Very good evening to all. Gratitude greetings. Thank you for connecting, and I hope the best portion for us, especially being educators, is to enjoy the positive portion in every condition of life. This is what we teach our children. So this is what we need to do ourselves for ourselves as well. So as you have given me only 2 minutes, I have to be very concise with the things I wanted to share. I would start with just a says no lockdown during learning. So I would like to start that lockdown is only on the school buildings. School buildings are closed. But teachers at this time actually are coming out. The best brains are rather coming out more. They are paying more attention. They are giving more pains. So as my portion comes to 2 points, one is learning without distracting, I would start with. If I talk of learning, we tried putting learning into two aspects. One is, why only learning of students? So we are trying to have it with learning of students as well as learning of children, learning of teachers, sorry. Because if teachers will grow, children will grow. If children will grow, nation will grow. This is what I feel. What we are doing, we are trying to take best inputs from the teachers who are trained, few of them, who are trained with 20th century, like we people were trained with 20th century skills, and we are trying to teach 21st century children. Let me be very clear, our children at this time have all the resources and the content with a single finger touch on their mobile phones. I may be talking of 90 to 95%, 5% can be an exception. It can be variable percentage. So our children at this stage, they have everything on a single finger touch. That is the thing. So what I believe that whatever is the venue, we need to bring up and groom up the children, channelizing their energies to be a real human being and to be the skilled students rather than to be the degree holders, taking advantage and making this lockdown period a disguise, a blessing in disguise. So that when our children come back after this lockdown period, we too feel a change that have they groomed up. And how can we do that? I would like to come up to my next point as you have given me glimpses. So the next thing, What we are trying to do is, we have divided our days with classes and with the age group of the students, giving them different things. Example, teachers connecting them for sketching their own fantasies. So we have told the children into groups, those who are good at drawing, those who have hands-on on singing, those who have hands-on on writing, they use paint and brush for sketching their dream, whatever was their dream last night. Those who feel to write, they write and they are creating their own book, and we have promised them that in the newsletter, we will be publishing that book in our school later. That will be my dreams, and best dreams will be selected of all the students. Whatever they dream, they write very next day. And to like honestly sharing, even teachers are enjoying too much that what kind of dreams come out with children. We come to know that we cannot even reach their thinking. We end up with our thinking where they start thinking actually, and we are trying to teach them. It is really true. We just need to guide them, channelizing their energies, so that, as we say, necessity is the mother of invention. So this is lockdown is the necessity where children are coming out with their best, when teachers are coming out with their best. So what we tell them, grooming with writing, with sketching all their fantasies and dreams. Second thing, we tell them to spend time with their family and to interview their siblings and their parents with 10 questions every day.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing those thoughts. I think this sketching their dreams is something interesting that we'll want to know more about, what all comes out of it. So please try to share some of your observations of this activity and how does this actually turn out to be? Because this is new that we have heard. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Now let's hear it from Samiran ma'am. Samiran ma'am, over to you for the next 2 minutes. You can unmute your audio.
Hello, Daksh. Good evening, everyone. And thank you for inviting me to this Blab Talk. Actually, when this topic came to me, this no lockdowns and learning, it was quite interesting for me. And as we know that this very little no lockdowns and learning is a recent emerged topic which doesn't have any existence before December 2019. And so now the present generation has learned about this critical situation, and this period will be taught as a history to them for the coming generation. And this is the science of education process, right? So learning and education is a complementary to each other, and we all know that learning is an art and education is a science. So the basic focus is that right now our core responsibility is to encourage the young minds to instigate that sense of learning, to emerge with the learning ideas. So every time, this is the first time they are experiencing these kind of things, and we have to make their mind. So now coming with the basic activities, since I have dealt with the pre-primary children, so I'll start with that. Right now in my school, Podar Jumbo Kids, I'm associated with, my school has started a process of different activities, like we are giving children the master chef, the little chef kind of activities, where the children are exploring themselves, they are making something. Then they are having planting kind of thing, they are planting seeds and planting it. And one now gets over, we will be taking those plantation you have done in your room. So basically we have different sort of activities on the motor skill and gross motor skill for the pre-primary children. But when this is concerned with the higher children, like grade 6, 7, and 9, standard 9 and 10 children, then what is there? The thing is that right now young minds has to be inspired for the learning, and children must be taught how to think and not what to think. So right now the children can be given a very analyzing kind of project as related to history. Like if this pandemic situation would have been prevailed at the time of Akbar, what the Akbar would have done during this time and what today's government is doing. So the analysis kind of thing or the analysis kind of project should be given, because learning they are doing every time, and this is the best time. Their minds are empty, their brains are empty now, and they need something which should be of their own. The learning this time should be of their own. So we have planned so many activities and projects related to the history, like first institution or the educational sort of institution, the hospitals, and the first libraries which was there, the person who was the founder of that. And what happens when the students start researching these things by their own? This is the learning on their own. This will be the actual sort of learning which they'll be going with. So apart from that, I agree with all the members that there are the WhatsApp things and Zoom meetings and Google Hangouts. So those are the medium through which we can pass out the content. So we are doing so. So the basic thing is what learning should be promoted in the children or to the higher standard children is to analyze the situation, because analyzing power or analytical skill is very much important for today's generation. That will be helping our coming generation to cope up with all these situations, because learning is an art and education is science. Thank you so much, Daksh.
Thank you so much, Samiran ma'am. I think, again, one very interesting idea of hypothetical assignments to these kids, that what would Akbar have done during these times. This is something really interesting. Please share some observations about this once you are done with the activity or whatever outcome comes out of all this. Thank you so much for sharing those thoughts. Let's now hear it from Yuvraj sir. Yuvraj sir, over to you for the next 2 minutes. You can unmute your audio.
Hello everyone. एक्चुअली मैं ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लूँगा और सब चीज़ों में, क्योंकि जो मुझे लर्निंग हुई है वो लगभग सभी स्कूल्स शेयर कर रहे हैं। दो चीज़ जो अलग हैं, पहली सिर्फ 100 ऐसे स्टूडेंट्स थे जिनके पास स्मार्टफोन्स अवेलेबल थे, तो थोड़ा सा हैक्टिक रहा शुरुआत में, so we couldn't make to all the students. Then slowly only last week we could reach almost all the students, and what we did, we just talked on phone to parents that if you have smartphone, and you can also go to your neighbor or somewhere in your village where children are studying in our school and the same class which your ward is. So somehow they agreed, and 2 days before I got to know that some of the parents were having some disputes between them, but for study they just forgot everything and they just came together. So it was learning, like through online education, we could connect people, we could stop their disputes, because we could do something better. So their children also understood, like if we help each other, like what can happen. Now a few parents shared with me, not all, like, sir, when you told them to help us, it was like shaming to us, but now we don't feel any shame, because that was different thing we were fighting, but now no. So this was one learning, like things can be also helpful and cooperative in villages. Second problem what we got is how to complete our syllabus, because we have to teach. So we thought, like pre-primary and primary students don't have so much syllabus, so they can have activities like gardening, daily household things, in that painting and all. So we gave them this activity, so they are doing that, and also we are sending somehow some printable worksheets, so they are doing that also. And second thing, what we could do with students is about, I know you are raising hands, sorry. We told them to make a dictionary. Dictionary every day, five new words, and write it in your notebook, and we will collect it when the lockdown finishes. Then behavior diary. Behavior diary, in that they will give this diary to their parents, and their parents will write what their children learn, new things and good behaviors. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Yuvraj sir, for sharing that. I think you have a very nice emotional news story that can be shared with a lot of people, that families came together for education. It will be great if you could share some more details about that. Our team will stay connected. Thank you so much. Let's now take the closing thoughts from Raymond sir. Raymond sir, over to you for the closing thoughts on today's ideas. You'll have to unmute yourself.
the excitement gets the better of me. So very interesting thoughts. We started with making a plea for hope, right? That we should think differently, and every single one of you is thinking differently. I'm so happy to hear that not many of us said content is important. We went into skills, we went into what the kids can learn from each other. We went into flights of fantasies to the other extreme. We went into history to say, let's draw from history to say, if Akbar was here, what would he have done? Fantastic ideas. And this, I think, is what education is all about. What was very important was one of the questions that one of the participants raised, and the participant said, do we need to teach our students? And that brings to light a brilliant idea of saying that now we are coming to understand that teaching and learning are two sides of the coin, and they will never meet. While we look at teaching as a teacher handing over the ware to the students, the learning is purely the child's prerogative. And it is so important to know that the child must learn anywhere, anytime. If I ask you to think where you learned best, most of your answers would be not in school, at home, when I was the most comfortable. And that is a big point that we bring together today. One is where students take ownership for their learning. I'm truly impressed with the panelists like this and participants like this. To be honest with you, with leadership thinking in this form, I think we are in great hands, and education is only going to move forward. Thank you so much for having me out here. It was truly a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Raymond sir, for those closing thoughts. I think we have got some very nice ideas that we'll try to take to the white paper and still share with at least 5,000 to 6,000 more schools across South Asia that we're connected to at the moment. So before the whole session comes to a closing, I just want to give you 2 or 3 thoughts. That's just food for thought, so that when we meet next or you get to time to think about it, we can have some more good ideas coming in from you. In the last so many days that we've talked to nearly 300 school leaders, we observed one thing. We are all right now using a lot of ed tech solutions, and most of the educators or the decision makers within education institutions are not very tech savvy. And what we could understand was that most of these ed tech solutions are not solving education problems. They are solving communication problems. And somebody who's judging the product is not very tech savvy to understand the product. So we should again rethink on how do we gauge these ed tech products, because once you give technology to a kid, you give him a complete new ecosystem. And how does he respond to that is something that has to be observed very keenly. Because we do not have a knowledge bank on how does child psychology gets affected when they learn through tech. And this is the time we need observations coming in from every corner. So this is something that you should all think on, that how would EdTech actually change children's behavior? Because going to my second point, the character or the persona of the student that we knew or we were handling or taking care of within our classes will drastically change, or typically dramatically change, once the lockdown comes to an end, because he'll get accustomed to one-on-one teaching, because online is one-on-one, and when he comes to class, it will again go to one-to-many. So how would we handle that change? And the persona of the teacher or the skill sets that complete a teacher will now have to drastically be re-evaluated, and they will change, because content delivery or just delivering information is no more a big skill for teacher, because technology can very easily do that. So what do you need now in an educator in the coming times is something that's to be thought about, that we should isolate the skills that we want in a teacher. What we could understand after these many thoughts was that you'll have to teach students 2 very important skills, and we don't know how to do that. The first one being creativity. Creativity not in the sense of colors and paintings and drawings. Creativity in the sense of divergent thinking, critical thinking, typically teaching them how to think. And when you're caught up in situations, how to find solutions. And second, and which is going to be super critical in the coming times, because you've given them the complete internet and the technology, is wisdom. Telling them what's good for them and what's bad for them, and how to judge that for them at such a small age. This is something that's going to be a challenge in the coming times. We hope that once the lockdown comes to an end, the education sector would come out with amazing solutions, and it'll still keep running. we, after this, would be again, because today is the 30th talk, and this is the last talk on this topic. From tomorrow onwards, the new session of these talks is on the post-lockdown school. We are trying to understand that how would a post-lockdown school look like? Because keeping social distancing in mind, we don't have that much of infrastructure, not that much of buses. So I think this is the time that we should all think on solutions of how would a school actually run in the coming times. I hope you enjoyed the last 20-30 minutes. If you enjoyed and would want to attend more talks, you can unmute your audio and say a big yes. Our teams will share some more material with you. You can share your thoughts on that.
Yes.
Definitely.
Of course, a big yes, Daksh.